obviously a tough night for us on Saturday. Made some mistakes against a really good football team, and it cost us. But just want to say this, the atmosphere that Greenville, our fan base, Pirate Nation created in Dowdy-Ficklin Saturday night was awesome. I mean, to be on national TV at a national stage and what they created, and the administration with the fireworks and all those things put together, that's big-time college football. And we had over 300 recruits here that witnessed that and was a part of that, and were fired up, and our players felt it. Just wish we could have got the job done there for them and for everyone involved there. There was some bright spots in the game for us. Some things we did really good. There's some things you always, in a win, you kind of go back and pick out the things you didn't do well. And then sometimes in a loss, those things get overshadowed. I think you got to go back and look at some things you did well as certainly. Offensively, I think that's only the second time BYU's given up 400 yards. I think that's the best our offensive line's probably played as a group. We're able to run a football against a good defense out there. And not late in the game, early in the game when it mattered. London, those guys got going. Marlon, Parker, all three got going back there. So I thought that was a bright spot. I think defensively, we went 11 straight quarters without allowing a defensive touchdown. I think that's a new American Conference record, if I heard that correct. But there's only one stat that matters, and that's getting back in the W column. We obviously got some things we got to clean up, and I'm 100% confident in the young men in our locker room and our staff that they'll do exactly that. They're competitors. They go at it. They're proud to be a Pirate. They take a lot of pride in that, and they're looking forward to getting back in the right, the W column this week. And I told them just a few minutes ago, I said, life is full of adversity. Like adversity, you're gonna face that all throughout your life, and probably you faced it at some point in your life, and you knew how to overcome adversity, or you wouldn't be here. I said, your folks face it every day. One game, one loss is not going to define us, but how we respond to that does. And so we're back to work yesterday, and obviously we got to flip the page pretty quick because it's a short week. In 3 nights, we got an Army team coming into town who was the 2024 American Conference champs. Coach Monken's done a heck of a job up there, known him for a long time, and whether he was at Georgia Southern, he's been at the Naval Academy and Georgia Tech, done a really good job. That O-line won the Joe Moore Award last year, which is the top O-line in the nation. Got a couple returners on that O-line. They're an option-based offense. They get under center, run the option. They'll get in the gun, run the option. 2 quarterback system right now. Coach Cody Worley is the OC. I was with him at Kennesaw State, and he's playing 2 quarterbacks. Dwayne Coleman is kind of the starter at the beginning of the year, number 10. And then number 3, Cale Helms, comes in as well. So both of them played in the last game. Not exactly sure which one we'll see yet, but we'll be prepared for both. They're averaging about 280 on the ground, over 400 yards of offense. The B-backs, I think they're the leading rusher, one of them, number 8, Hayden Reed. And then their speed guy is number 15. Same guy as last year, Noah Short. He'll catch the toss out on the edge, run the wheel routes, get out of the backfield and catch the ball. He's got some true speed back there. Defensively, their defensive coordinator, Nate Woody. When I was in SoCon, we coached against him and some of his style defenses. He's a 3-4 base defense, field boundary reduction, play some quarters, play some cover 3, some cover 2 back there. Doing a really good job as always. I think they're averaging giving only up about 190 in the air and 150 on the ground. So tough defense as always. Linebackers are kind of the guys that stand out to me for those guys. Caleb Fortner and the Thomas kid, 51, 53, both solid in there. I think they're preseason all-conference. 7, the corner, is Jaden Mays, really good, solid corner back there, and the safeties fly around. Danny Verpel, who I was with at Kennesaw State as well, is a safeties coach and doing a really good job back there. So, again, thank you for the fan base, the Pirate Nation, and thank you to the students who continue to ride with us and making Dowdy a special place. We're ready to get it back out there. I believe in this group, and thank you for the fan base for doing the same. And this time we'll open it up for questions.
Coach, you obviously know the challenges of preparing for the option. I mean, how do you prepare for it in 3-4 days, and have you been able to work it throughout camp just to kind of show it to the guys?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting ready for an Army team. And somebody says, hey, you got a short week to prepare for Army. I say, Army's got a short week to prepare for us. And that's kind of the mindset I want within our program, within our players, and within our football team. And it's obviously an option. I was around the option offense from, 2008 to about 2019 till I came here, I guess. We ran some sorts of the option. Was it Lenore Ryan, the Citadel, or Kennesaw State? And you attack it differently at different places. And I think you attack it differently here as well. And the main thing is, keeping it simple for your players so they can go play fast and clean. And that's any bye week. It doesn't matter if it's Army or whoever it may be. I think that's the key to it on both sides of the football is allow your guys to go play, keep them fresh. You got a quick turnaround. Yesterday we went to, we usually have Sundays off. It was a quick turnaround. We went back out and practiced a little bit, did a little light practice last night, trying to get some soreness out of us, get the game plan installed. Usually Mondays are a film review and a light practice. Well, today was a pretty heavy practice in pads, moving around pretty good, had the game plan installed on both sides. But you try to just keep it simple so you can go play fast on both sides of the ball and play with the culture you expect. Because I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to win you the football game. That's, playing with great effort and great intensity and being physical.
Coach, just having a chance to look back at the film, 7
Yeah.
false starts on the offensive side. I think I counted. What do you
Yeah.
think was the biggest issues that kept?
Yeah, your count's exactly right. I thought there's a couple things. Just talk to our team about the little things. How you do anything's how you do everything, and little things matter. Little things make the big things, and we got to do a better job attacking those. Some of it's just like a little bit of anxiety, or receivers trying to get out a little earlier. Beat a corner, get into a route, those type of things. Up front, I think a little bit of the pre-snap movement maybe got to us. So all those things are unacceptable. All of them got to be cleaned up and got to be fixed, and we got to get to that and be more detailed about those things. So, because those little things are things that aren't clean, that aren't undisciplined, so to speak, and will get you beat. And they certainly did Saturday night. And we just talked to our football team about that as well. How we got to focus in, lock in on those things. We, on 2 days before the game, I would call it a Thursday practice. It'll be a Tuesday practice this week. We got T-shirts that say "locked in," and that's really what we got to do a better job of locking in, making sure we know our job and do our job to the best of our ability at all times.
Coach, Army's not really built to come from behind, but they were able to come from 21 down
Yeah.
and send it to overtime against North Texas. What did you see out of that offense they were able to come from behind?
A couple of things, and to that point, Brian, the other night, we're down 2 scores to BYU there in the fourth quarter, I think about 5 minutes to go, and defensively, they're about 5 yards away from being in field goal range. And, you take a chance there to try to keep them out of field goal range, and you zero out and you get out of a gap and they pop one on you. Because, if they get up 3 scores, it's unreachable with that amount of time. So you're trying to just hit them for a loss, get the ball back, get a score, and maybe have a chance for an onside kick. So similar situation with Army. The biggest thing I saw, when you get ahead of Army, they're not built to come back, or vice versa. I think in the Kansas State game, they ate the ball 26 minutes out of 30 minutes in the second half against Kansas State, which really led to the victory there. But I think it was more about North Texas in the second half. Got beat on a deep sprint out on a 4th down, I think 4th and 10, 4th and 13 or so. The safety kind of mistimed it or didn't play it really well, and gets behind him for a big play. And then, Army scores, I think it's 35-38, and tries the onside kick. Obviously, North Texas recovers. I think 2:50 on the clock. Basically, the Army has no timeout, so I think if they just knee it out, they probably give them the ball back at the 10s. They punt it with probably about 30 seconds, 20 seconds to go in the game, which is basically a victory. And the first snap, North Texas fumbles, so I think it's more about what North Texas did. Now, Army obviously capitalizes on it, and, that's what well-coached teams do. Army's a well-coached team, goes down there and kicks the field goal. And then overtime, obviously North Texas took the ball, scored first, and then Army got the ball, couldn't get in the end zone, threw a few passes there. Coleman gets banged up in overtime. Kellums comes in, and Helms comes in number 3, and just couldn't get in the end zone there. But to come back like that shows you the resiliency of that football team and what Coach Monken has built there. Always the toughness that they have.
Coach, you're speaking about resiliency for your guys coming off the loss. How have you seen them respond in the days since the loss?
I thought we fought all the way to the end of that game. I mean, Caton will be the first to stand up here and tell you that he didn't play to his expectations, and I'll tell you as a team we didn't play to our standard. And it's like I told him in my office yesterday, you cannot let those things weigh you down. You got to keep just going and attacking it. Yeah, we're going to go take it on. We're going to own it. It is what it is, and we're going to fight back. And if we'll do that, not only on the football field but in life, we'll be successful. And that's what we talked about. And I think you can use lessons like this with your young man in your locker room to teach life lessons. Sometimes those things hit a little harder than not going to class and making it on time. It seems like things on the football field kind of stick with them a little bit more. But the way we'll bounce back and the way our kids will go to work with it, we'll get there, and we all got to do it. It can't just be hey, half of them or 75% of them, they all got to be in on board in that. And I told them, like, hey, you either on board or you're not. There ain't no in between. There ain't no gray area. You touch the line or you don't. You make the third down or you don't. You make it to class on time or you don't. So those are things we're continuing to kind of make sure we instill within our program, within our culture, and within our football team to make sure we get back to where we need to get to.
Coach, you mentioned your opening statement that you guys ran the ball a lot better. What was it that was so good? Was it a better job getting the second level with the backs more patient, or was it?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think the old line, the week before, I thought we missed some gaps in there, some creases in there. I thought the running backs did a better job winding it back, bending it back off of the hip and staying tight, for the most part. I thought the old line did a better job staying on guys and just all in all. And that's a good defense now. Like I said, that's a defense that's only allowed 400 yards twice in the last 2 years. So, and they're a Big 12 opponent, but, we got to do what we do. So I thought we did a better job there with the backs and the O-line for certainly.
Just after a loss like that, do you think it can kind of help to some extent to have a short week where you truly have no choice but to flush it?
Yeah, there's no question. I said this the other night, in basketball, you turn around a couple nights, you play, and you get that bad taste out of your mouth. And in baseball, you do the same. You lose on Friday night, you got a game Saturday or a game Sunday, or even if you have a bad one on Sunday, you turn around on Tuesday. In football, usually you got to wait 7 days, or, in our case, the last one we had time, we had to wait 9 days, or whatever it may be. This week is 5 days. You ain't got, it's a late Saturday night, so you wake up Sunday morning, it's time to get focused on the next opponent, flip the page, and go back to it. So I think for some of us, like getting out there, getting practice, getting back on the field, it kind of, hey, we got to reset, we got to refocus, and it's got to be 1-0 this week. And it's a flip the page to, it's a conference. It's a new part of our season. The non-conference is done with those 4 games. We're going into the back 2/3 of our conference, which is conference play for the next 8 games. And you start out really with, Army, and not looking ahead, but Tulane, who also played in the conference championship last year. So you got a tough road ahead, but, really the focus has got to be on us and how we're our approach, like it is every week. But it does help to, get that bad taste out of your mouth immediately.
I mean, just moving back a little bit for non-conference. I mean, this was your first time, as head coach.
Yeah.
Leading the guys into non-conference. And what did you learn as a head coach for that stretch?
Man, what an awesome fan base we have, and that's real. Like, Raleigh, they packed it out. Down in Conway, they packed it out. Campbell game, FCS game here, they packed it out. And then the other night, that's amazing. That's as good as I've ever seen, and that's big-time college football, and that's why you do what you do. And I think our schedule, you had two P4 opponents. You had to go to a region game down the road, and you had a FCS game here. And those challenges was awesome for our program. I think we grow more from that than if we would have played, three group of 5 opponents and an FCS opponent. I think we're going to grow more from playing an ACC team and a Big 12 team down the road. So I told the guys the other night, or yesterday, I guess, I said, I believe in things happen in life for a reason. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. And the bad events in our life, we got to learn from them, grow from them, and move on. And that way it helps us down the road. And I think this is one of those events. So, I thought it's been a really good schedule for us so far, just of non-conference that will help prepare us for the conference.
Coach, how much did you get to work on Army, like back in the spring and
Yeah.
into the summer and that kind of thing?
More as a staff than as a defense. That was kind of our focus points, just kind of our first few opponents, and certainly in the conference, because we knew this was going to be a short week, and we had to have a game plan ready to go. Preseason camp, we usually take some time to work on the option and plan it up like that. We didn't take as much time this year just because I thought we were behind defensively. I wanted to make sure we were ready for our non-conference schedule. I thought, going into that, if we were ready for that, that would help us build confidence down the road. And I certainly think it has. I think defensively, take that last touchdown away the other night that we zeroed out on and tried to hit a TFL in there. I think we played pretty good football overall. Now, obviously, I'm probably the biggest critique of defensive football of anybody. But if you take the big picture of those 4 games, what I thought we were in August, I think we came a long way, and we're getting where we need to be going into conference play. And that's probably the best confidence we can have and the best defensive builder we can have going into conference play.
Just on Xavier McIver, how has his recovery been, and when do you expect him to be back?
Yeah, we've been missing Zay for a couple weeks now, and we'll be excited to get him back. Not only his presence on the field, but his leadership on the field. He's a senior who's played a lot of football, And, you know, he's missing it right now, so it's hurting and bothering him a little bit right now too. So it'll be good for him to get back out there with everybody and us as well. So he's getting closer and closer. Not sure we'll get to see him this week, but I think hopefully after the bye week we'll be able to have him out there between the lines and going at it. So he's coming along nicely, and his recovery's doing well.
Obviously, the Teagan hit happens, and
Yeah.
you know, McKinley's out there. He hasn't really played in that spot before. How do you think he handled it? How much can he grow from that?
Yeah, you know, I said this the other night, like, and Teagan's got to do a better job hitting the strike zone, but some of those things I just, you know, it's football. Let's play football. But Kamari, you know, he played 40-something snaps the other night, and for the most part did a really good job. There's a few things in there he's got to clean up and do better. But I didn't think, like, when you stuck him out there, he was hey, we're going to go attack this guy. He held his own, did some good things, you know, had a few hits. Got to do a little better job wrapping up, but he's coming along. He's kind of, you know, always had the athleticism, and now he's starting to have the discipline kind of go along with that. And I think he's going to get there and be a guy that we can depend on down the road.
Kind of a more general question, but just last week there was, I think the D1 Oversight Committee said they're going to have one transfer portal window and move to that. Just curious your thoughts on that.
Thank God. That's my thoughts on it. No, we just said as a coach, and whether I was at the AFCA last January, whether I was at the American head coaches, like the two windows has been miserable for head coaches because you don't like your team. You can lose part of your team at two different points in the year. And the first transfer portal, and we haven't set it in stone yet exactly when it's going to be, but was in the play-in season. That was miserable. So instead of focusing on the last game, which is your bowl game, you're worried about your roster and how that's going. And then again at the end of the semester in the spring, if we can get that thing to one, and if we can find the best time for it, which honestly, like to me, it's February out of the play-in season, getting back to putting a student first and the student athlete, all those things, that would be awesome. I'm not sure it's going to go that way, but I think we're going in the right direction. And at some point, we got to make sure these young men graduate. You know, we're talking about, you know, rev share, transfer portal, all these other things, which I think is great for college athletics and great for our sport. And but at some point, we got to get the student part back into it. You know, where a young man doesn't transfer every semester, and you look up, he's out of eligibility but has no degree. Like, how do we help him be successful in life? How do we help him grow as a man? How do we help him, you know, go get a job or whatever it may be? You know, every coach on our staff wouldn't be here if they didn't have a college degree. So we got to make sure we're helping our young men be successful and graduate from college so they can have more choices in life.
Coach, Thursday night game can be tough for families to get to, so the student turnout
Yeah.
should be good.
There's no question.
How important are they to bring the energy? And also, it's maybe a better question for marketing, but how important is it they stay to the end of the game to the
Yeah.
second half?
You know, I thought the other night it was awesome just to have our students and families in there, and I know it was family weekend, and you know, I saw what that meant to all of Greenville, not just the hotels, but the restaurants, and I saw some pictures of downtown being packed out and all those things. And you know, this Thursday, like you said, it may be a little tougher for some fans to get here because of the travel, whatever it may be, but our students, I know they're going to pack out the boneyard, and they're going to bring the energy, and we feed off that thing, and I appreciate them. And I enjoy going around campus and just seeing that, you know, they put a smile on my face when I ride around campus. And I couldn't tell you how many times, like, different folks we stopped on campus last week, and you come to the game Saturday, oh, yeah, I already got my tickets. You want me to show you? And I'm like, no, you ain't got to show me. I believe you. But I really appreciate them, and I think that's what makes this place special again. So just thank you to the students.
Any other questions for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate you guys. See you.